Hello and welcome back to episode 5 of the podcast, Who Ordered Coffee. I am your host this week. I was given the honor last week of being able to host this week, so I'm coming back. For those who have listened to the last couple of episodes, I'm back as your host. And with me are, of course, Hanae and Elliot.
Yellow.
Hey.
Good morning. So, before we launch into today's episode, is there anything from last week that we wanted to talk about, bring up, mention at all? Anything about from our space episode? Any lingering thoughts? Do we have anything from that?
Well, one of my students was talking about space because apparently she had a very boring science lesson.
Yeah.
But then she said, "Oh no, it's about space," and I'm like, "Oh, I know nothing about space." But I bragged about the fact I knew what a solar eclipse was, and I told her about that.
Solar eclipse, yeah? And how did
Yeah.
she react to that?
She thought that was awesome, but I couldn't
Nice.
tell her when it would happen again because,
Fair enough.
my knowledge is very limited. So I blew her mind to some extent.
Nice. Imagine seeing a solar eclipse and not knowing what it was for the first time. Be like, oh my goodness, the world is ending.
Well, yeah, you'd probably think that. It's pretty terrifying if all the light just disappeared for a few minutes.
That or your firebending goes offline, but you know. Elliot, how about you? Any space-related talk? Any space-related updates?
No,
Or just very much Earth?
no thoughts. Head empty. Nothing.
No thoughts.
Just
Head empty. Absolutely brilliant. That's also a good
iconic.
way. Yeah, great. So, moving on from that, I wanted to actually take a moment to introduce a new segment this week. This segment is, I'm going to be calling it Little Big Wins. Now, I don't know about this title. I did actually forget to check this title with you guys before I started the show today, but hopefully, my bad. But hopefully, the title is self-explanatory enough. The implication here is that I wanted to take this opportunity to ask you guys if you had any sort of win since the last episode. Have you experienced any sort of win? And it could range from anything big or small. So hence the title, Little or Big. And the idea here is I wanted you guys to sort of dig deep. So if you feel like, if you think back on your week and you go like, oh, I didn't really experience any big wins, there were no significant milestones achieved, that's fine. I want us to try and delve a little deeper into our memory and see if we couldn't think of anything at all that you could consider a win. So why don't I open the floor to, let's go with Elliot first. Is there anything that you've experienced recently that you could potentially consider a win?
Yeah, I guess for me, I would consider. It might sound dumb, but hey, it was great.
Yes.
The other day,
Yeah.
I got a face mask for the first time in like
There you go.
2 months. I just haven't had the time
There
to
you
sit
go.
down and have a face mask, and it was amazing. And my skin is
There you
clear. My life is great. That's my win.
Oh, fantastic! Exactly. That's exactly what I've been looking for, and that's fantastic. That's so good to hear. Face mask. I mean, do you remember what kind of face mask?
Oh, it was the
I don't know.
cheapest one that I could find.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Good.
They're so expensive. It was half price. I was like, let's go. Let's do this. It was really weird because it split into 2 parts. Normally they're like a whole
Oh.
sheet, but this one was like
Right.
a really weird like hydro mask. So it was like a weird
Oh.
gel, and then it was 2 pieces. And I was like, this is not what I'm used to, but let's go. Like, let's
go.
get the skin clear.
Wouldn't that cover more skin potentially? Because if it's in one big sheet, it's a little bit harder to put around all your face.
See, I've gotten used to putting on all the sheets all over my face. Like, I've gotten used to that. This one was
Okay.
weird because like it had like the small gaps. It wasn't anything major. It was fine.
Right.
But it was like unpacking it and being like, wait, what? The one sheet, I'm like a master
Surprise.
right now. I've got it. Like I can do that. I can look like a swamp monster with that thing on. It's great.
What an icon and a legend.
So good.
But seriously, on a side note, those face masks are so expensive. I've never bought one, but every time I think about buying one, I get scared away by those prices.
Oh, they are expensive, but you know what? They are worth it. They are so good. I used to have them as a constant routine, and I'm trying to get back into that because my skin is suffering.
Okay. But hopefully not anymore.
Well, not anymore. Let's go.
After that one face mask that splits
Yeah.
into 2, Elliot is a new person.
I'm newly
Oh.
born.
The power of one face mask. And Hanae, how about yourself? Do you have a big or little win since the last
I know
time
what
we
you're
heard from
hinting
you?
at, Jonathan.
What me? What could I possibly be hinting at?
Well, for my big win, as You both know, but I officially got into Masters
Woo!
last week.
Yay!
Welcome 2 years of me annoying Jonathon. Whoop, whoop.
Well, the actual reality is that it'll be 2 years of you stuck with me. That's
Well, we'll see by the end of those 2 years who's really sick of each other.
It's me, sick of both of you.
Elliot's like, no, I'm done.
Peace
I'm
out.
done with this.
Yeah.
I'm sick of hearing about this.
A little small win that I got in the mail yesterday. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was something I ordered, which I still haven't received. I've been waiting for like a new tempered glass for my phone, but it still hasn't come, so maybe I won't ever get that. Besides that, I opened up my letter thinking, is this my tempered glass for my phone? It was not. But it was a tiny little certificate from the Australian and New Zealand Viola Society that says that my piece won highly commended, and
very good.
It brought me so much joy just looking at this piece of paper.
Send us a picture. We could include that in the show notes if you want. That'd be really cool.
It made my day, and I was really excited.
That's so good to hear.
And my mum and I drove back to Dad because I was actually meant to be leaving for teaching, but we drove back and being like, look at it, it's more little letter, it's awesome.
Oh, bless.
Jonathon, what big or small win have you had, or multiple?
Yes, okay. Well, actually, before I get into that, congratulations, Hanae.
Thank
Well,
you.
that sounds like 2 big wins to me.
Yeah.
You lied. There were no little
Big
wins.
wins.
They were
Well,
just
it
big.
was kind of a little piece of paper, but it's an awesome piece of paper.
It's a very awesome piece of paper. Congratulations, though. And obviously, so good to hear, Elliot. I mean, little win, but absolutely, we'll take that win.
Right.
Yeah.
How good is that? But for myself, little wins. Similarly, as you may have already figured out from just the conversation, I've also myself gotten into Masters, but
Boop, boop.
I would that's a win, I suppose. Yes, I would call that a win. Other little wins, though, include, for me, it was seeing the success of other people this last week. I think it has been a little win for me. I think watching the WACOs, the Western Australian Charity Orchestra, or
No, we changed our name.
Philharmonic. Oh,
It's the
okay.
West Coast Philharmonic Orchestra now.
West Coast Philharmonic. Okay, watching the West Coast Philharmonic, watching them perform this past week, and playing Christopher Tin's "Calling All Dawn's" album. That was really mind blowing. And so that wasn't a personal success, but it was definitely a success that I was able to share in and witness, and that was just absolutely incredible to watch. And of course, our esteemed Hanae was also in the orchestra, and so that was also a bonus. It was really cool to see our friends up there, and not just Hanae, of course.
This quick
Cool.
moment to interrupt. You had a piece played.
I was trying to avoid saying that.
Well, too bad.
I'm trying to talk about how lovely everybody else was, and I didn't want to talk about myself. I can't do that.
That's why I'm interrupting to talk about you.
Yes.
Jonathon had a piece arranged. He arranged a piece for our orchestra to play, and from like the very first day, we were already raving how like amazing it sounded. So big win.
Big win. I suppose then I should probably also mention I also had an original piece played in Rockingham.
Oh,
Yep.
drop those pieces.
Yeah, and it's an old piece I composed a couple years back. It's really cool it got another performance after 2 years, played by the Perth Symphony Orchestra. So yeah, fantastic. But there you go. So a couple of wins all around, I think. Good to hear. I wanted to move on to the main topic of today after that brief detour. But yes, I wanted to pose this question. So the question goes, do you think a perfect adaptation of a book, comic, or just any sort of content into TV/movie is possible? And so what I mean by this is, do you think it's possible to adapt a material and sort of have it completely accurate to the original? Over the last few years, sometimes when you read comments online or you hear about, people's reactions to certain adaptations, like movie adaptations of comic books or movie adaptations of books and what have you, a lot of the time, I'll see a lot of comments about people complaining how this wasn't accurate or this wasn't quite right. And it sort of got me thinking, like, is it actually possible to satisfy, to create something that makes everybody happy? And so I have a thought about it. I don't have a correct answer, definitely, but I have an opinion about it, and I thought I wanted to share it with you guys. But before that, I want to know what you guys think.
This wouldn't have anything to do about Netflix show about a book that you read when you were
Netflix
younger.
show about a book I read.
And it came out and you were hating on it so much.
Netflix show about
Wasn't
a book
it like
I
Artemis Fowl or something?
read.
Yeah, there it is.
That was a movie.
Oh, I
on
wasn't
Disney
sure,
Plus,
but I remember
unfortunately.
when it came out, as soon as it came out, you were ranting about it.
So it wasn't on Netflix. No, it wasn't Netflix.
I do apologize. I wasn't sure where it was.
Disney Plus. It was Disney Plus. This
is what it reminded me of, because you were having a nice full-on rant section about how it was completely wrong, if I may say so.
I think actually when that movie dropped, the general consensus on the internet was that no, this is a bad film.
Yeah.
This is not just a bad adaptation. This is just a bad film. But yes, Hanae, did you have a response to this question?
Yeah, I actually was talking to my mum about this yesterday. For me, I don't think there should ever be a perfect adaptation.
Yep.
Because it takes away from the creativity of the scriptwriter, the director, and even the actors.
Okay, yeah.
Down to every little spot.
Yep.
So even if you want to do a perfect adaptation, there is so many people's opinions and their own, like, even if you're an actor, you would be playing this character, but you'll still have a little bit of yourself. So you won't be completely true as you can be. Because the only one that can be true to it is the author.
Right,
Let's say we're talking about a book, for example. An author would know because they've created those characters. They've created everything in that book. So it's only solely one person.
One person, yeah.
So to have multiple people, you have multiple opinions.
That's right.
And ways to do things. So the perfect adaptation probably shouldn't exist.
Yeah.
You can get pretty close. Sometimes you don't need a perfect adaptation because sometimes it might take away some of the effects that you see in like in a movie, for example.
Yes. Yeah. No, absolutely. Elliot, how about you?
Yeah, I'm on a very similar note. I also believe you can't physically, not so much for the reasons that Hanae's put out of, like, yes, that is true. There are going to be, every individual person has their own take on the material, yada yada. So, but that I feel like becomes such a individual kind of take where it's, when they read a book, my interpretation of it is going to be different to when you read a book,
Yeah.
But when you're talking about adaptation, who's to say that the author of the book couldn't then also write the movie if they've got multiple skill sets, So that is the, is it death to the author or not? That's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But where my take comes in is that each medium is made with different things in mind.
Yes.
So a book, like a novel, you're going to be hearing, most likely, the thoughts of each of the characters as you go through. But you can't do that when you're watching a film.
Exactly,
you can to an extent, but, you can't literally have the audience go, oh, that's what they're thinking right now. You're not going to get that across in the same way. It's all a different kind of thing, but you can get the exact set they're in a different way and make that more at the forefront. The mediums are made for different types of content and different types of interaction and different types of character.
Exactly.
So, as much as you're never going to have a one-to-one, I think there is the idea of a perfect adaptation, but the perfect adaptation is not a one-to-one transformation of the work, because that's what makes it an adaptation, not a transformation or whatever.
That's exactly my train of thought. So I suppose I should offer my take on it, which is basically exactly what you guys have already said. This is a fairly short topic today because we're all in agreement. Yeah, I don't think it's possible, because I was thinking about it, and sometimes when I come across these comments, I'm just thinking to myself, there's no way to satisfy everybody. Sure, maybe you make a valid point, maybe they've missed this character, or if they've missed, perhaps they've missed this thing, and when it's done egregiously wrong, of course, call it out. But I'm talking more in the case of where they've just cut some things for time or because there are inherent restrictions or limitations when it comes to adaptation. Yeah, there's no way to do it. I don't think it's possible because there are just things you can't replicate in a different medium. So the thing I was thinking about was actually in the reverse. If we were to try to take a film like, I think it's called A Silent Place or A Quiet Place.
I think it's A Quiet Place.
So that film, almost no one talks in that entire film. And a lot of it works because of the sound design and the sort of eeriness of the silence, or people walking around as quietly as they can because they don't want to get killed by these monsters. We have high hearing. Spoilers. Well, that's not really a spoiler. That's the setup of the film. But, that doesn't work so well as a text. If you were to just read the script, and I'm sure the script is very interesting, it's not the same effect because you don't see the fear in people's eyes. You don't see the way they move. You don't hear the sound design. It just doesn't work. And so if you were to do the opposite, say, take a movie and make a book adaptation, I don't know if that's a common thing, but if you were to do the reverse, it just wouldn't work. You could get close to it, but I just don't think it'd be possible to get it exactly right because of the inherent limitations. And yeah, like you guys have said, it depends on what medium it's for. So I think that's our episode right there.
That's it.
That's the
Yep. See you next week. Bye.
No, but yes, I wanted to discuss that with you guys just to see if there was if anyone had any differing opinions, but it would seem, no, I think we're all in agreement.
We are all in the exact same boat.
Same wavelength today.
Same wavelength, easy. Okay, so a segue from that, what piece of content would you like to see adapted into TV, film, stage, or vice versa, or any sort of medium, you know? Is there any sort of content out there right now that you're thinking, oh, that would be really cool to see as whatever, you know?
Always, but I could never pinpoint one thing. I feel like adaptation is really hard in my brain.
Yeah.
Coming from a musical theatre background, a lot of the works are adaptations, right? Like, you get a lot of things, especially in the popular culture of music theatre, like Heathers and even, what's it called? Oh my gosh, why did I only think of Heathers? That's horrible. Heathers and Great Comet, and like Beetlejuice and Groundhog Day and all these kinds of shows. All these modern shows are all adaptations of other forms of media. And like, I have a very mixed... No, Dot, don't do that. I have
Our first Dot interruption.
Hi,
Dot.
I've got a very mixed relation with them. Far out, this cat. She's just being a pain. Here she comes.
Here comes the Dot.
Hello, Dot.
She's causing so many problems on purpose.
Can you give Dot a pat for me?
I can't, she ran away.
Okay.
She's staring at me on the other side of the couch going... Because I stopped her from freaking eating cords. I'm sorry for saving your life.
I think she has a brain the size of a dot, maybe.
A very, very small one. Good joke. Well done,
I'm
thank
sorry.
you.
I was like,
Good joke.
maybe this is the end of Elliot and my friendship if I say this joke.
It's over. I'm sorry.
No,
I
I haven't even got to meet Dot.
can't record anymore.
And then you just like all leave.
And that's the last episode,
Yeah, welcome to the last episode.
which is number 5, but we won't talk about that.
Episode title, the last episode.
What happened between these 3 people? Was it a joke went wrong?
Who ordered coffee? The last episode.
It's just extreme clickbait.
Actually, let's make that the title. Last episode.
The last episode.
Oh my
The
god.
last podcast.
Wait, yeah.
The last podcast.
Ever. The last podcast ever.
It's over. You won't believe what Hanae said. Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark.
What were we talking about again?
Besides Dot, adaptation in scripts.
Adaptation.
And you accidentally
Yes.
said Heathers.
Heathers, that's right.
Yes. And all these like musicals that do these adaptations for stage. That's a good question. All right, sorry, I've got to take a pause. I've got to do this.
So while Elliot takes a moment to just think about his answer for a second, let's open the floor to Hanae. What do you think? Is there any piece of content that you'd like to see adapted to a different medium?
Well, I was thinking, but then I got distracted by a cat.
Ah, yes.
Which, you know,
I
ultimately
think Dot
is
needs her own show.
Dot's going to be our next guest, I think. Or our consistent guest in this show.
She's just going to join the trio. It will be a quartet.
Yeah.
We'll stop being a trio.
Sorry,
It'll just
Aaron, you've been replaced by a cat.
Aaron
could have been a part of
Hanae,
it.
Jonathon, and Dot.
I actually don't know.
No?
I could say that, for example, it'd be kind of cool to see like the games I'm studying for my thesis that would be in a film.
Yeah, and what games are you studying?
I'm looking at Little Nightmares and
Little Nightmares?
Bendy and the Ink Machine.
Bendy and the Ink
Not
Machine.
Inky and the
Fantastic, yeah.
Bend Machine. Oh gosh.
Inky and the Bend Machine.
Yeah,
There you
that's
go.
number 2.
There's a movie right there.
Involved limbo, so you got to bend backwards a little bit. Anyway, I think it'd be cool to see some of those types of games in like maybe a horror movie type
As
of
a horror movie, yeah.
Yeah, because then you're seeing what in a different perspective of what's it called? Audience. That's it. Yeah, for example, like in horror games, you play as a first person character, but it'd be cool to see in the camera angle that is the third person and to see how the character reacts to things instead of just
Right.
you as the player reacting.
Yeah, certainly.
Of course, as the player, you get to make your own decisions on where to take the avatar in the game, but if it's a movie,
right.
you have a set goal and you can't
That's right, yeah.
like deviate.
You're limited to the perspective of what the filmmaker has decided.
Yeah.
This is almost the topic of your research, but like I wonder, would that make it less scary? I imagine part of the fear comes from the fact that you have control of the character and your decisions have consequences. Whereas if you watch it and it's you're at the mercy of the filmmaker, it is somewhat, I suppose it it might make it slightly less scary because it's like, oh, well, I didn't choose to walk down that dark, scary place with a flickering light. I didn't decide to walk towards that creepy sound instead of running the other way. And now the character is getting chased by a monster. Oh, well,
Yeah.
what a surprise. I guess it's less scary in that sense, I have to assume. What do you think?
Well, sometimes in games, you have to go down that dark, scary corner.
Right, yeah.
But you also know that you need to go down there so the story will progress, so you can maybe, example, find the monster and save yourself. I think also in a game you'll have a lot more, let's say, anxiety and fear because you are that person, potentially.
Yeah.
If you're watching the character, you can yell at them for being an idiot, on the screen, because you're like, why did you go down there? Like you said. But you're in control, so you have to fear for yourself, and you have to see if your actions are, potentially is something that's going to help you in the future.
Yeah.
So for me, I reckon playing the video game would be a bit scarier. I mean, obviously, my opinion is biased, and I am not too experienced, but, that's just obviously my opinion. And it could be wrong. Because maybe to other people watching the movie is scarier than playing a video game.
Maybe, yeah.
Some people I've talked to, they refuse to play or watch horror games because it's potentially more frightening than watching a movie. And take over, Jonathon.
Oh, yeah. No, that's a great answer. I think that's a really great answer. Yeah, definitely.
I get a high distinction.
Seeing some of the... You get a point. Yes, there we go. That's what I forgot to do.
I get a point.
Yes, that's right. If you review the episodes, you'll notice, I've only been host once, but the first episode, I did not alpha any points. And then from second episode onwards, every host has had the opportunity.
You're not hosted? Oh, no, you haven't.
You'll notice that every other host has been very on top of their game, giving out points, left, right, center. I have not given out any points, but as of right now, Hanae, you have been awarded the first point.
Hell yeah.
1 point to Hanae. I need to make note of that.
I'm doing a little happy dance.
There we go. But it's interesting, isn't it? Like with horror games, this thing that I read, and don't necessarily quote me, but I'm pretty sure this is how it works, is that the brain cannot differentiate between actual danger and imagined danger. So when you play a video game or you watch a movie and it has something scary, like your brain treats that as a very real danger. And especially when you play video games and where you have control, I can only imagine that it heightens the fear because, like you say, your actions have consequences, whereas a certain amount of fear is slightly taken out when you have no control.
It'd be interesting, like, in my research, I will probably go a little bit into, like, fear itself, or, like, what creates fear and horror in movies or games.
Yeah.
I think that'd be an interesting topic.
I want to take opportunity to mention something I'd like to see adapted.
Yes, go for it. I want to hear this.
So, something I'd like to see adapted is also a book series. I suppose usually they go the other way around.
Is it Artemis Fowl?
Artemis Fowl, yes. That's my second answer.
Okay.
My first answer is a different book series. My second answer was like, can we get some justice for Artemis Fowl? Can someone redo that as a TV show, please, or as a good movie series? Artemis Fowl is such an intelligent and engaging read. It's about like a child genius who's like a criminal mastermind, and he's a criminal mastermind because he does criminal things. He's like an anti-hero. He just wants to get rich. He's not looking to hurt anybody, but he just wants to get rich, and he would go to any lengths to do it. And it's just such an engaging read. And he is a criminal mastermind because he does criminal things, and not because he constantly says, I'm a criminal mastermind, and then proceeds to do nothing criminal.
Yeah, I can totally see that you have no hate, but just for the movie.
I'm not frustrated about the movie at all. This isn't like a book series.
You would never be.
This isn't a book series that I grew up with and was like so keen to see it turn into a movie and waited years for it. And then I'm not heartbroken about this movie at all. At all, no.
What is your first choice, though?
My first choice, though, is another book series I grew up with called Ranger's Apprentice.
Yes! Sorry.
Yes.
I read it. I'm so glad someone else.
Wow.
There you go, yeah. Written by an Australian author. This would be bad for the show. I can't remember his name. John Flanagan, I think.
Yeah, that sounds right.
John Flanagan. Oops. I got to make sure.
Yeah, it sounds correct from my memory. It's been a while since I read the books as well, but I'm so happy that someone else that I know has grown up reading these books. Oh, yes.
That's right. Okay, just double check the name. Yes, Mr. John Flanagan. The esteemed Mr. John Flanagan.
Thank you for writing such epic books.
They're so good. They're so good. I grew up with these book series. Yes, Tug the horse. He's so intelligent.
Yeah.
Tug is definitely like,
the
he's like that. He's like Gromit. Yeah. He's like way more intelligent and he's like non-speaking, but you just know this horse. This horse could walk on two legs if it wanted to.
Tug was really my favorite character.
Yeah, coffee with honey. We got to try that. You know what?
Oh,
That's like a whole thing.
okay.
The
we're
coffee
trying
with
that.
honey
Wait,
inside it.
I'm gonna put that on our Will We Do It?
Coffee with honey?
Yeah,
That sounds genuinely terrible.
Oh, we still gotta try it now.
You can.
Yeah.
You can try whatever you want.
So in the book, a recurring thing is that a lot of the characters, they drink coffee and they always add honey. It's just a thing that the Rangers do. And actually, a funny thing was my brother, who also grew up with the books, he met the author once when he came to WA to do like a book reading, a book signing, or I think it was the 8th book or something. And my brother actually asked him, he's like, do you drink coffee with honey? He's like, I think his answer was like, no, not really. I just kind of thought it'd be fun. So, I mean, don't quote me on that.
No, we're gonna quote you forever.
It was years ago, so I can't remember if that was exactly what he said, but it was something on the lines of like, it's not actually something he does. But, gotta try it for the show. Coffee with honey, let's find out if it actually... I can't imagine it to be that bad. It just makes it more sweet,
I don't know. It also depends on what honey you get.
That's true.
Because we buy our honey from the house of honey, so we know it's, actual...
Also Holbein.
Welcome to the house of
So Holbein.
Stop it!
There will not be one episode that we do not mention sex. I swear.
You're not wrong. I was thinking about
It
that
has to be a running
yesterday.
gag. This has to be a running gag. But yeah, there you go. I would really love to see an adaptation of Ranger's Apprentice. I think it'd make a really great TV show. Some people have not compared it, but like they said, like, it has the potential to be something quite expansive and huge, almost to like a Lord of the Rings kind of scale, if I dare use that comparison. The earlier books are a little bit more fantastical, and then it becomes a little bit more grounded. So it starts to move a little bit less away from the fantasy. But there you go. And Elliot,
Hi.
have you had a chance to think about your adaptation answer? Is there something you'd like to see?
What was the question? Oh, what would I like to see?
Yes, yeah. What would you like to see adapted?
Oh, all the way back here. What would I like to see adapted?
You said maybe Heathers,
No.
maybe some other show, but no.
Are you
that's
sure?
No.
I thought Heather's was your
No.
favorite.
I would like to see nothing adapted.
good. Nothing at all.
No, like, look. There's a lot of stuff that I think could do well with adaptation. But coming from a musical theatre world, It can be frustrating seeing only adaptations of different mediums become musicals instead of like original content. Like, I feel like adaptation is like, it's like all the Disney making live action versions of right?
Sorry.
Like, you just kind of get sick of it eventually.
Yeah.
It's like,
Right,
why? It's just cash grabs. Like,
Mm.
we don't need another live action Pinocchio.
Wait, did you see the trailer for the
Oh my gosh,
The
I do love Lionsgate Pinocchio.
Okay, you did. I
I
thought
feel
you-
him in my soul. Oh my goodness. Father, when can I go out to see the world on my own? I got the whole world to see.
Elliot, did you secretly voice Pinocchio?
Oh my god.
Elliot is
That
Pinocchio.
accurately.
That's the title. Elliot is Pinocchio.
Alright, I'm putting it
The
up.
world to see.
Elliot is Pinocchio. Welcome to the Pinocchio show.
So good. It's so fun. I love it. It's so funny.
You're going to get a point for that. I'm going to give Elliot a point for his not Pinocchio impression, just Pinocchio voice, because Elliot is confirmed. And now for a new segment, Unfacts About Coffee, or as I like to call it, Imminent Coffee Knowledge. And so, okay, I'm reading off this website, which reads 21 surprising coffee facts that will perk up your afternoon. So I can't take credit for knowing any of this, but number 15 on this list, decaf does not mean caffeine-free. An 8-ounce brewed cup of decaf coffee actually contains 2 to 12 milligrams of caffeine, the Mayo Clinic states. In comparison, a regular cup of coffee supplies between 95 to 200 milligrams, while one can of cola has about 23 to 35 milligrams of caffeine. So, but there you go. When it says decaf, you still have a tiny bit of caffeine. So it's not truly decaf. It's not truly decaffeinated. It's just less caff. Think of it like that.
Instead of decaf, it's less calf.
Less
It's
caff.
just less caff. They should
Less
really
caff.
rebrand. This is less
Less
caff.
caff. Well, to be fair, it's decaf, not uncaff.
That is true.
Uncaff. Yeah, decreased caffeine. There you go. I suppose they are technically correct. There you go. Decreased caffeine. Another topic, another question, parallel to our previous questions. What would your ideal parallel question? Parallel parking? Parallel questions. What would your ideal fantasy fictional world look like? I want to emphasize fantasy. So this is not like I don't want to go too like nebulous and big with the way it's like, what is your ideal world? Like world peace. What does world peace
I
look
thought
like
we
to
were
you?
creating-
I think it's a little bit too big of a topic for the podcast, but so we could just narrow it down a little bit. What does your ideal fantasy world look like? Elliot, let's start with you.
Oh,
Is
don't
there a
start with
fantasy-
me. Don't start
Oh,
with
yeah.
me.
No, I'm starting with you.
Oh.
I'm starting with you. You get bonus points.
Ooh.
If your answer's good, you get bonus points.
All right, well, I'm going to put a disclaimer and say, this might not be my ideal fantasy world when I think about this question more, but on the fly, this is what I'm coming up with,
yeah.
all right? How's that?
Yeah.
How's that for a disclaimer?
That's a good disclaimer. You get a
Okay.
point for the disclaimer. You get a half point. You get a
Half a
point
point for my disclaimer? Wonderful.
I'm giving out points like they're hotcakes.
Like they're hotcakes, and I'm taking half of them. All right, what was it? Fictional fantasy ideal world. Great.
Yeah.
Creating a world is so difficult. I like the idea. I'm going to start simple. I'm going to start small. I think there's no invasive species ever. They don't exist. There never was invasive species in any land. So they're just like really cool. And they're all like animals that are like, you know, like Earth, but, you know, cooler if possible.
Okay.
Because I just think that would be really neat. And they're all like chilling. Like similar to like
Just
what's
always chilling, yeah.
like how in Avatar they use upper to like fly and shit like that. Like that's the energy where it's like all the animals are just like kind of vibing. We're all just best mates with humans and we're all chilling. And instead of like cars and stuff to destroy the planet, we just like have this like coexistence.
So what I'm hearing is Pokemon.
But with less technology.
Oh no. I have recreated Pokemon.
I mean, it's kind of a better version of Pokemon.
That sounds great, though. That sounds pretty good to me.
It all comes back to Pokemon. Basically, what I'm saying is the ideal world is Pokemon, which I think was my answer for the last episode that we talked about.
Yeah.
When we talk about where would you go? Yeah, which universe would you like to visit?
Mine was Pokemon.
Just Pokemon.
So I guess that I'm just consistent. Pokemon. That's my answer.
There you go.
Yep. Sorry. Damn.
That's pretty good. I think a Pokemon would be a really great place if the world was like Pokemon. I think that'd be really good.
But like less fights. Let me put that out there.
Yeah.
Pokemon.
Yeah,
But like less fights between the animals. Let's do that.
It's just always it's just the filler episodes where they're doing wholesome stuff and not like, you know, trying
Yeah.
to challenge you for and trying to get defeated by Cynthia.
Yeah, no, it's like the filler times where they're just like kind of vibing and just being like, wow, that's a Bulbasaur.
Nice.
So in your ideal world, Jonathon, would there be no Cynthia? Or would Cynthia just not be that annoying?
In my ideal world, if this was still going off the Pokemon one, Cynthia would not be Elite Four. I don't know, she'd be like
Elite
an
Four.
ambassador.
So
Boom.
normal trainer.
She's just like a really good coach. She's just a really good trainer. She's not challenging and fighting other people. You know, she's actually just like a really good trainer at a gym, like at a literal gym. And she's just working out with like other people, and she just has her Pokemon with her, and they're like, you know, spotting people. I don't know what you do at gyms. Like, I've never been to a gym. I've literally never stepped foot into one. But you know, I just imagine, yeah, she's still around, and she's still doing an awesome job, being her awesome self, but she's just not defeating me.
Beautiful.
Hanae, what does your fantasy world look like? What is your ideal fantasy world? Now, please don't say just Lord of the Rings.
I wasn't going to.
As much as you and I would both like to visit Lord of the Rings, not Lord of the Rings, visit,
Yeah, not
visit
Middle Earth, just Lord of the
visit
Rings.
Middle Earth.
Well-
And it can be similar to Middle Earth, just but is there any sort of elaboration? Is there any sort of addition you would add to that?
Dragons.
Dragons?
Then
More
dragons.
dragons? Less dragons?
More dragons.
More dragons. You want more dragons. And are these friendly? Are we talking
It's like
Dragonite?
kind of like how to train your dragon type of vibe, but
Oh, yes.
let's just say like, oh, I just like dragons, they're so cool. But like I have a book that I got when I was a kid, and it's full of like every single type of dragon
I think I know what
that
book
was
this is.
from like each
Dragon?
country, which is really cool.
And is it like a picture book? It's got like a really nice cover. It's got like a gemstone.
cover?
And it's got the eye in the middle,
Got
and
the
then
eye,
you've got like
right?
the pop out things.
No?
Yeah, it's got-
My sibling had that
Oh, is
book,
it
and I
not
was
that?
really jealous.
Okay, so Elliot knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Elliot.
I'm
knows.
with
Does
you,
not.
Jonathan.
What is this book?
I don't know what it's called. I just remember seeing it a lot in primary school. I'm gonna have
It
to
was
find
like
a
the
picture.
etymology of dragons or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I know what book you're talking about, but it's not that. But that did remind me of this book series called what was it? Rhonda. What was it? No,
Oh, are you thinking of Del Toro Quest?
it's something similar to that, but it's not that series.
Aragon?
No, I'll come back.
I know
to
there's
that.
dragons in that.
Yeah, but this isn't a dragon book. It's a mythical creature. It's like a fantasy book, but I can't remember what it's called. My perfect world would be full of fluffy alpacas.
Alpacas are very mean.
And
Are they nice alpacas?
yes, nice alpacas.
Great.
And do they all have sunglasses?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's a good opportunity here to introduce a new little member to the family here. Introducing Dimitri the Alpaca. look for pictures in the show notes, or if you are following us on Instagram, little plug right there, following us on Instagram, we shall have, hopefully by this episode, we'll have posted some pictures, or you may have already seen some stuff appearing of a bespectacled alpaca speaking into a microphone who is enjoying a nice cup of coffee. Hopefully you'll have seen that. If not, check the show notes.
Actually, I just thought of an answer to your question.
Yeah, very good, yes.
So in my fantasy ideal world, it would be where wolves are not being used as the bad characters, like in Red Riding Hood, for example. Especially as a kid, I always saw like how wolves are the stereotype as the bad guy, and I hated that because I absolutely love them. I think they're such gorgeous creatures, and they're beautiful, and they're lovely, and I hated seeing it as a kid because I'm like, how dare you be so mean to the wolf?
I think there's actually a film recently. I don't know if it's a DreamWorks film or if it's an Australian studio. I saw a trailer recently about that exact thing, and it's like all the stereotypical bad animal characters. It's like a wolf, snake, spider.
Oh yeah,
and
I've
shark.
seen that trailer. Yeah,
and it's a movie about these animals. Like, you know, they're doing criminal things, but then they're like, oh, you know, we want to change our ways and we want to become the heroes instead. Maybe check out that film.
Yeah, what my childhood really wanted was that film.
Yeah, I think yes, a younger Hanae would really appreciate that. And who's to say an older Hanae present day Hanae can't appreciate that too? So,
in my ideal world, wolves are loved just as much.
Wolves are loved
because they're technically a big dog.
Wolves.
And we all love dogs.
Who doesn't like it? Yeah, who doesn't like it? That reminds me of the thing I saw. It's just like some person who's just lying amongst two wolves. I don't know why that would be a good idea, but they're doing it, and then they just start like making howling noises, I think. And the two wolves just start howling as well after a while. They just join in.
Yeah, so cute.
It's very cute. It's very cute. I don't think the person was in danger.
No.
Are there two wolves or there were two huskies? Could just be two huskies. They look like wolves.
Next week, Jonathan might have to do some research into the differences of wolves and huskies. That's your homework, Jonathan.
Oh, we got some homework. Great.
Just to look up the difference in wolves and huskies.
Wolves and huskies, yeah. Okay, and I wanted to mention what my ideal fantasy world would look like.
Yeah, hit us with yours.
Yeah, it's pretty boring. I mean, it'd be a combination of... I mean, I mentioned to Hanae not to say Middle Earth, but it would be a combination of just the Shire, nowhere else. It'd just be the Shire.
Hey,
maybe
I wasn't allowed and you're allowed?
No. I'm going to elaborate. I'm going to expand on it. So I said you could be similar to Middle Earth, just expand on it. So Middle Earth plus more dragons.
Hey, Jonathan.
But for me, it'd be... Yes, hello.
I'm taking a point off you for being mean to Hanae.
Oh, no, I wasn't trying to be mean to Hanae. That wasn't what was going on here. Okay,
I think
I've
you
lost
were.
the point. Okay, all right. Okay, I've lost the point. We can let the audience decide if I was being mean to Hanae. That wasn't... Okay, all right. Uh-oh. I'm in trouble. Okay, I'm -1 points. Yeah, currently -1. I also think I lost the point before the show or something.
You did.
I'm at -2, folks. It's not looking good for me.
It was just before you got on. Oh, because Jonathan was late. You don't lose a point, Elliot, but Jonathan lost the point because he was quite late.
Oh, wonderful.
Hold on. Elliot was more late than me.
Sucks to suck.
Okay, my ideal world would be mostly just the Shire. It's really peaceful. There's way too much food. People are constantly gardening. It's that. But also, just like being able to fly. So it's like a cross between like Legend of Zelda, the Skyward Sword, so where everyone's like on floating islands. And instead of like riding animals to fly, it's like everyone can actually just fly. Like there's like it's like some sort of gravitational anomaly where like people are not like there are certain spots on the island where if you jump, you can just like jump higher than normal, and you're like gravity is altered in such a way that it still pulls you back towards the island, but like you don't fall at such a rate. Like it's you fall slower. I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, it does. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it'd just be really cool to be able to like travel like that, and it'd be interesting to see how that might affect people's way of life.
Hey, Jonathan, I think you just described the first episode of The Good Place.
Is Good Place an island? I don't think it's an island, is it? It's just like a...
No, neighborhood.
It's just a neighborhood, yeah. They do have flying.
But it's a neighborhood where people are gardening, and there's a beach, and they're flying.
They're just like,
and it's green grass.
And they're having a good vibe all the time. Oh, damn. I've just described The Good Place. That was not my intention. Oh my goodness.
I think you just lost another point there. Oh.
I think I just lost... Well, okay. Alrighty.
-3.
Just saying that. I actually do like... Elliot's answer was pretty... I do like Pokemon World. I think it's a very like comforting, homely thought because it's our childhood, potentially. And it's a very comforting little thing that we can go back to and enjoy.
Yep.
Because it's just a simple... It's not a simple game, obviously, but it's a very joyful game that doesn't have anything like drastically bad happen in it besides Cynthia. But there's so many good memories that come along with that game, and it's very sweet and wholesome.
Yes.
Like, who wouldn't want to run around as a kid? Because you're actually, like, when you start off, it's always like baffled me, and it still baffles me to this day. Why are you 11 and you leave your house? I don't know.
Just on the road.
I will never get that answer probably, but you know, you're a kid and you just get to hang out with your cool animal friends and just have a great time. Like, Elliot's got the right idea.
I definitely.
Yeah. Elliot, did I already give you a point for that? Oh, was I meant to give Elliot double points as well?
For what?
Why?
No, because remember I said
I'll take it.
Yeah, because remember you were going first, and I said, if it's a good answer, I'll give you double points.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Well, Elliot, I think you get double points. I think you get 2 instead of 1.
Nice.
So you're now sitting at a pretty 3.5
That's pretty.
And I think you've got a bit of catching up to do. Now, before we do move on to, I have one more final question. One more thing before we segue into that is, of course, we need to ask, what are we currently drinking?
Oh, that was close. My ear just got like, oh.
You said it ASMR style.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Wow.
You're welcome.
I mean, that was really good.
So, yeah, what coffee are we currently drinking? Please enlighten me. I would like
Jonathan,
to know.
how about you go first? You haven't gone first today yet.
Okay, well, once again, I'm drinking the old, the old Nescafe, creamy, frothy, all that fun stuff. It's the mocha version this time.
Ooh.
I don't know if I've already mentioned that on the show. I think I've had caramel latte. I think I've had, what was it last week? I can't remember. But yes, this week it's the mocha.
I think last week it was like an actual coffee one.
Oh no, last week it was also Nescafe.
Okay.
I can't do Nescafe dirty. I gotta have it. Was
That's fair.
I gotta have instant coffee every week. That's how I roll on the show.
We.
That's me. And yes, my dear friends, what are you guys drinking?
I've
For extra points, for double points, can you sell your coffee? Is it good? And if it's not good, try sell it, because I'll give you double points.
Okay, today, advertisement brought to you by me, Hanae. So, are you tired of waking up exhausted and feeling like the world is just sucky and your stomach is just like, you know what, let's make your day even worse?
Yes.
Well, you know what, instead of having some breakfast first, why don't you go over to the kettle, put it on, and boil up some water to make it nice and hot for you.
Okay.
So, today, you ready, Elliot?
I'm ready.
We have a participant in the audience. We're joined by Elliot today. It's amazing. So, Elliot, what you're going to do is you're going to grab your favorite cup.
Yes.
Now, sometimes if this happens, if your other person at home, be it a housemate or your family member has stolen your cup, what you do is you go up and confront them. You say, "How dare you? That was my cup. No one else is allowed to touch that cup.
How
It secretly
dare you?
says my name.
That was my cup.
Yeah.
No one else is allowed to touch
beautiful.
that cup. This says my name.
Oh,
I do love this preamble. But what coffee are you drinking?
Hey, I'm getting there. We have to have some audience participation. You cannot rush art.
That's true. That's true.
Now that Elliot has gotten back his cup, we go back to the kettle. Now the water has boiled. That's what we were doing. We were waiting for the water to perfectly boil.
Oh, damn.
We go get our vanilla latte French coffee out of the cupboard.
Ooh.
We open up that container. We get...
It's a dramatic storytelling.
We have not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 teaspoons of coffee. And this is the really important part. Are you ready, audience? Mostly Elliot.
No.
We add the milk first.
What kind of milk?
We add... Well, for me, I would personally add full cream. But for you, you can add your favorites.
Ooh.
Soy.
Wonderful.
Never add skim milk, because skim milk, let's be real, is a lie. It is just water pretending to be milk. So, we add our actual milk.
Strong opinions about weak things.
We add our milk first, after the coffee powder. Now this releases the flavors of the coffee.
Wonderful.
This is what makes it creamy, beautiful and full, rich with flavor. And then we add the boiling hot water. You stir it until all the coffee powder is beautifully mixed in, and you get that lovely color of almost dark brown coffee, and you know it's perfect.
Where am I pouring the water?
You take out the spoon.
Okay, all right. I mean...
Wait, I'm not finished. How dare you?
Where am I pouring the
You're
water?
on point, Jonathan. That's a good question, Elliot. Now, you've got to carefully aim your kettle directly above the cup. So
Ouch,
you can
I missed.
hold the kettle just above it.
It's on my
Oh
foot.
no, Elliot, quick! Put your foot in underneath
No,
the tap
Elliot.
and run some cold water on it.
Oh, that's better.
So
Yeah.
while Elliot's doing that,
Oh, that's
good.
so much
We
better.
saved Elliot's foot,
Oh,
everyone.
that's so good.
Oh, okay.
So Elliot,
Crisis
you will
averted.
not have to go to the hospital today. You will be home safe.
Elliot gets a point for that. Elliot gets a point
And then-
for not having to go to hospital.
Yes, I agree with that point, actually. And then, after Elliot has taken care of his foot, we go back to the kettle dilemma.
Okay,
Carefully lift up the kettle by its handle.
I'm lifting it up.
Tip the kettle
I'm
to its side,
I'm
and
tipping-
water will pour
I'm
out
tipping-
into. And now, try your best. This is the hard bit.
Okay.
Aim into the cup.
I'm aiming.
it
Oh,
going
it's
in
on
the
the
cup?
counter. Okay, wait. It's on the counter. It's in the.
So now you
there we
have
go.
to just
It's in the
move
cup.
it slightly
It's in the
above the
cup.
cup. Yeah,
Okay,
sometimes
we've
you have
got
to
it.
move it because the water decides to avoid
Yeah,
the cup.
That's what
It
I was
really doesn't
doing.
like the cup.
I wasn't moving it. I was just
Yeah.
like, yeah,
So
my bad.
just before, you've got a little bit of a gap between the top of the cup. You want to stop pouring.
Oh, it's overfilled already. You didn't tell me to stop pouring.
Oh, quickly stop. Yep, stop.
Stop
pouring.
now.
Yeah,
Ouch, it's on my
stop
foot
now.
again. It overflowed off the counter.
Oh, quick, back to the sink.
Okay, I'm back at the sink.
Hop. Okay, turn on that cold water.
It's like a D&D episode, but with coffee.
Yeah, and you're the other audience, Jonathon, who's just watching this, wondering what on earth is happening.
Oh, yeah.
But you have no
this is so
control.
dramatic.
You thought you're the host.
I'm watching a play. I'm watching a
Yeah.
stage production.
We'll have to have your stage notes later, if you don't mind.
Mm.
Elliot, how's your foot doing?
Oh, it's so much better, thanks. So much
Oh,
better.
thank goodness. We've saved it again. Oh, that was a close call.
Yeah,
though.
so close.
So go back to your coffee cup. Maybe slurp it up. So slurp a bit of it. So when you pick up the coffee cup,
Ow,
it
I
doesn't
burnt
overfill.
my tongue.
Oh, back to the cold water.
To the cold
I'm done
water.
with this bit. I
And
can't do
Elliot,
this
this
anymore.
is really important. Elliot, wait a
I'm
few
done.
minutes before you drink the coffee. And that's it. That's the ad that no one will
Okay,
ever pay
alright,
for
Hanae.
again.
Oh, okay, wow, that was incredible. After a certain point, no, there was a certain point where you started hitting diminishing returns,
Yes,
but then it
I
started
saw
going
that.
back up again. No. Then it started going back up again. Then I was entertained. First, it was like, okay, this is going too long, and then it was like, okay, this is actually good now.
See, that's my stage
So,
productions.
So here's
They
what's
have a
going to
lot of
happen.
up and
So here's
down.
what's going to happen. I was going to give you 4 points, then I was going to take off a point because it's too long, but I'm going to give you the point back.
Ooh,
So I'm going to give you 4 points.
oh, thank you. It's been an honor. I would like to personally thank Elliot for being my co-host, my co-guest star.
You're so
Guest
welcome.
actor, sorry.
So currently you're sitting at 5 points, Hanae, and Elliot is 4.5. So before we wrap up the show, and I'm going to let Hanae, I'm going to let you continue.
I had a
Oh.
caramel latte if anyone cares.
Yeah, I was going to say Elliot hasn't gone yet.
Yes, Hanae, were you going to say anything?
I was going to say I wanted to thank Elliot for being an amazing actor, and I think Elliot should be
Yep.
awarded a point.
There you go, and that brings us up to 5 versus 5.5. Elliot,
You did a good job. You put up a very good fight today, and it was very
that
close.
was very close. Hanae has conceded her position. Elliot,
Thank you.
congratulations, you are the host,
The host for next week. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. It's going to be such a blast. It's going to be our best episode yet.
So excited.
Can't wait. But Elliot, thank you for putting up a wonderful fight with me, and thank you for joining me in my ad fight. That was very fun.
Anytime.
That was very good.
I very much appreciate
I'll
it.
be sending you an invoice.
Oh, well, my emails don't work anymore.
This is a paid gig. Oh, well, do you know which email that does work? It is the newly minted whoorderedcoffee@gmail.com. Thank you, Hanae and Elliot, for joining me again this week on this episode of Who Ordered Coffee.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for letting us come back still.
Yes, you're welcome. So thank you for joining us on this episode. Thank you for listening and sticking with us through what may be quite a bit of a longer episode this week, but we had some really great discussions, I think. And if you have any feedback for the show, please feel free to email us at whoorderedcoffee@gmail.com. And follow us on Instagram. Hopefully by the time this episode drops, we'll put up the relevant social media stuff. Follow us there for more fun stuff, behind the scenes, updates on what we're doing, and just generally joining in with the Who Ordered Coffee community family, if I can call it that. Thank you so much. So I think that will do it for today's episode. I think we'll call it there.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.